For the week of April 9th, this is a jam-packed adventure of a Kickstarter Pickstarter we're bringing to you for Roll for Crit.
Restoration Games is resurrecting their latest in their line of old classics updated for the modern era. Fireball Island, The Curse of Volcar. It's one of those. It's a crazy ancient god thing. This is the old game called Fireball Island, rebrought into the new generation. This is something that you could maybe find on eBay in its original form for larger sums of money. Big old game where you're going around a board that is 3D terrain, and a big thing in the center spits out marbles, and those things might hit your characters in all kinds of wacky, funny, random ways. They are bringing that now with a whole new updated version of the board. Same premise, same basic idea, but now with even much higher quality components, new expansions, new modules, updated those rules a little bit to make it a little less insane and random like the old one was. Plus more marbles, things to collect, treasures to hit you, and ladders to climb. It's a crazy, insane 3D adventure game, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Fireball Island was one of those when we first started to really dive into board games. It seemed like if you ever can find an old copy like at a game library, you gotta play it once.
It was kind of like this, yeah, like this holy grail of games. Just not even because it was that great, because it definitely was, you know, sort of that Milton Bradley style thing, but it was just so insane to look at and to play.
Like, and as you're saying, to actually get the game though, I think like a marble would sell for like $60 online or something.
Yeah, and it would be from the 80s, so like it was going to be in really bad condition.
Right.
So to have them redo that and at an affordable cost, so this is $60 for the core on Kickstarter,
which is fantastic for most games.
Yeah, that's a reasonable price. That's cheaper than any mini game you're going to find on Kickstarter. So you know, this is something that they haven't done Kickstarters for their other games restoration in the past, and I think they did it for this because it's a big deal and more expensive.
And it's worked for them. I believe you told, I don't know when, but it's past the $1 million mark.
Yeah, it's been huge for them. A lot of people are excited about this game. As you can see, funded in 1 hour, they proudly proclaim. And we've really enjoyed the games they put out so far.
Yeah, we've actually played, I don't know if it's all of them, but we've played at least 3.
We've played all 3 that they currently have out.
And they've been really fun. We've even played the new updated for their Stop Thief. Like, a game that's already been done, but they made a new cooperative mode. So they're still looking at these games and adding stuff to it.
Yeah, so big fans of this company, really super hyped for this game. This is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. It's the only one so far they've released that we've actually played the original version, so it'll be really interesting to actually compare those two.
Yeah, honestly, because of the legacy of this game, we definitely think this is one you should really check out and maybe even take a look at.
Yeah, to be clear, not a legacy game.
No, not a legacy game.
Yes. So again, $60 for that base, plus there's a bunch of expansions, so if you want to add more stuff on, you can.
From Snakebit Games, we get Word of Boros. In this game, you're all ancient dead warriors trying to get back and become alive again. To do that, you'll be traveling along the Ouroboros, which is a dragon that is constantly eating his tail for forever, really. Your goal is you'll have challenges to earn karma, and to beat those challenges, you'll have to use word cards to make words. Things as, write a word that's a holy symbol, give a 5-letter word, a word that might be described with wet, things like that. So you'll be getting letter cards of vowels or consonants and trying to make words in that way. So unlike a lot of the word games we have where you just make what you can, you do have a specific goal, so you have to be much more thoughtful in your process.
Yeah, I thought that was a really interesting twist on the concept where it gives you room to be creative, but within certain limitations. So that always, I think, makes for interesting choices. And you could even have some arguments of like, oh, that doesn't really, I don't know how they handle that in the actual rules, so if they think that word doesn't apply or something.
No, and first one to get 15 karma, then make it to the head. You'll keep going around until you hit the head. It's an infinite circle. But there are special spaces that let you get more goals, maybe jump ahead. And each character has their own special powers. And I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but if you read them, there are like grammar, or like one warrior's like syllabus or something. Like they're all very, very good. named. But no, I like that because it's not just, most of the word games is just how can I get the most points? It sort of becomes more of a math game, which I don't mind, except that I'm bad at spelling things.
Yeah.
But this, it's a lot easier to think like, oh, okay, holy symbol. Cross is a holy symbol, like.
Yeah, more creativity involved, I think. You know, I'm a sucker for word games, so this is one that definitely looked cool to me.
And it's only $35 on the cheap end for a lot of board games. I thought it was a really cool premise for a word game. I don't think something we've seen too much similar to in most of the games we've played.
No, pretty unique.
But, and cool artwork, this sort of water painting, I guess, would be the style. But definitely, if you like word games, I think this is definitely one worth checking out, as it seems to stand out from the rest.
From Jasco Games, now we're getting Street Fighter, the miniatures game. This is a 3D battle fighting game based on the Street Fighter series, of course, from Capcom. Jasco Games also put out the Mega Man board game, so, you know, there's some synergy there, I suppose. And it is, you're gonna choose a character, you're gonna fight another person, you have cards, and you're gonna draw a card, you can move around the board, it's a 3D environment with objects, such as trees, for instance, depending on the arena that you're in, which can be destroyed, so there's destructible environments. And you play cards to attack, your opponent can either block or counterattack with their own cards, and then there's also a bit of a dice rolling element where based on the attacks that you used, you're gonna be rolling to see what you hit them for, and there's even a meter you can build up to use super moves, special moves, like a lot of these fighting games in Street Fighter have. So this one is pretty interesting for a number of reasons. First of all, it's to see a fighting game translated to a board game, and the way they chose to do it in a fully 3D miniatures environment. These are all pre-painted minis as well, and pretty nice looking ones, I would say. And this is also the first game, I can't remember the name of the series, it's Universal Fighting System, something like that, but you can look it up, that they are planning to have multiple game genres in that will be compatible, including Mortal Kombat and Dragon Ball Z. So even if maybe you're not a huge Street Fighter fan, the idea of getting ready for those other lines or being able to mix and match them is pretty exciting if the game turns out to be pretty good.
As we all want to know, who'd win in a fight? Krillin or Chun-Li?
That's what I've wanted to know my whole life. But it looks pretty interesting. It looks pretty fun. I know that in my head, I always felt like BattleCon kind of perfected the 2D fighting game. So the fact they didn't try to go for that, it's a fully 3D space where you can actually move around on a grid. I like that they went a different way. And there's also a co-op mode where you can fight against a boss if you want to with multiple people.
Yeah, and I do think that works better, especially if they plan to throw in other things. Because yeah, Street Fighter obviously is the 2D, it's the one that really is the king of the 2D fighting sphere. But like if you're throwing something like Dragon Ball Z, I mean, sure, they have 2D fighting games, but you don't think about that with Dragon Ball Z. It's more of them jumping around and stuff, so it doesn't limit you on what properties you're allowed to throw in. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully, it sounds like it's a simple game, but in a good way. Like it's not overly complex as some of these mini games tend to be. So I'm hoping it's good. Also, it was developed by Angry Joe, the YouTuber, announced a while back. He's working on all these games, which is kind of cool. So Street Fighter, if you want it, it goes for $80. There's a bunch of cool minis in there, so fight it up on the streets.
Tramways Engineer's Workbook is a sort of different twist on the puzzle game idea. It's actually a book with sort of the dry sheet, so you can write in a pen and erase, and has a bunch of puzzles on it for both single player and two player. In this, you can actually try to solve using tickets, making lines, and solve a bunch of different puzzles and compare it to the creator and see if you beat his score. Or you can actually play against another person in the two-player formats and see who can get and solve the answer first. To me, I love this idea of the dry erase pen, because even if you solve it, you could erase it, and even if you're not playing the two-player one, you can be like, dude, you gotta try this puzzle.
Yeah, is it very story-based? Like, are you trying to manage trains, or is it more just kind of abstract
I think it's
puzzles?
more abstract puzzle, but mostly about trains and stuff.
Okay.
There is also a board. He apparently made a successful Kickstarter for another board game, which you can get along with this, which I didn't read too much on because I wanted to focus on this. But I mean, I love the idea of a dry erase puzzle where you can literally solve something, then like pass it in. The two-player sounds really cool. I know we like the idea of puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of, back in the day when you had a long car trip and you buy those activity books and you could like open this in the car and pass it back and forth and all that. Like there's no other components, right? It's a book.
Well, I think you could add on for a 3D train to be like, it's your turn. But I mean, it's a book and a pen. And that's exactly like if you're traveling, this would be great to just dry on and then you erase. And then if you came back to a year later, like, oh shit, I remember this puzzle. I don't know how did I solve this.
Maybe if you're on a train, you could even do it that way.
But and it only goes for $25, so I think that's a really cool price for a really cool idea.
Moving along, the rest of our episode will now be book Kickstarter themed. This is graphic novel adventures from Van Ryder Games. It is actually a Kickstarter for the first 5 volumes of what they presumably hope to be a series of graphic novel adventures. Basically, they're choose-your-own-adventure books, but they're with graphic novels, comic books, images instead of just text. And there's a whole different genres coming out for this first set. There's a Sherlock Holmes one, there's an Old West one, there's a horror werewolf-themed one, and so on. You can go check them out for yourself to see all the different types. And yeah, there's got your basic stuff in there of you can go this way or you can go this way, and depending on the number you pick, you go to that panel. But there is some more gamey stuff in there where you actually have a character and you get to customize your own stats beforehand, and you're gonna have a time system, so a certain amount of time will be allotted to you to complete it, as well as an inventory. So depending on where you go in the book, you might pick something up that you might need for a certain panel. There are going to be puzzles and riddles to solve. There aren't any dice, so there's nothing like a lot of print and play games where you're reading something, then you have to do something on the side. It's all contained in the book. The only thing you have to do is maybe write down your inventory. And there's even going to be stuff which reminded me of Seventh Continent, where remember when you had to, if you saw a hidden number somewhere, that would lead to a card? Same thing, if there's a number hidden in a panel, that'll take you to another panel. And that'll be like, oh, you caught that, so you get to look behind that door or whatever. So excited to try these. The concept is so cool, and Van Ryder Games, who did Hostage Negotiator, clearly know their way around a solo experience. I mean, I'm almost, this came out the same week, obviously, as Fireball Island, and I'm almost more excited for these books than Fireball Island.
So much good stuff this week.
Real good.
And like, I didn't know about this one, but when you shut it, I'm just like, are you back? And you're like, yeah, I'm getting it.
Yeah, so it's $19 for one book. You can get the set of all 5 for $75, which is a pretty good discount. There is some replayability here too, in that it's probably going to take you more than one try to get through them. And there you can try with different stats. There's a little achievements you can try to get as well, a checklist in the back. They likened it to a Time Stories type of experience where you get through it kind of a few times, put it on a shelf, maybe forget about it, bring it back.
Which I actually have done with Time Stories, so.
And maybe my favorite thing about this Kickstarter, because these are just books and they're pretty much finished, they have an estimated delivery date of June. 2 months away.
Oh, that is good.
So you don't gotta wait long if you want to back these. So that is graphic novel adventures from Van Ryder Games. That sounds good, doesn't it?
These Call of Cthulhu leather journals are specific journals for if you have more of a Cthulhu-based campaign. And what's cool about them, though, is as you know, depending on your campaign, you could be going to Miskatonic, you could be going to Antarctica, the Mountains of Madness. They actually design books that are designed specifically for those kinds of campaigns, with actually drawings already in there of like the mountains and stuff. So you can really get a feel this is actually a book of your character from that world, which I really love and really brings that extra touch, which I think is definitely a fun thing for a lot of fans of the Cthulhu universe. And there's 4 different books. Buying one costs about $42. It is in Australian, so have fun, a little converting. But you can buy more than one. And to me, once again, I like the idea of having a journal in RPG. In particular, it makes even more sense with the Cthulhu one because you think your investigator usually writes things down no matter what their role is.
And there just seems to be so much in Lovecraft involved with like books and reading them and ancient languages and things.
Right, like I mean, the video they have for it is literally starts with like, as if finding someone dead in a room and opening and finding their journal and stuff. I mean, this is going to be like, when you finish your campaign, it's going to be like, this is an ancient artifact and you're going to feel really cool about.
Yeah, I bet there's going to be some pretty awesome drawings that come out of those stories. And like you said, the fact that you know, they have a world established, so there's so much they can do to get things started to make it feel more specific.
Right. So you can be like, we are going to do do the Mountains of Madness, a campaign in that world. So this really does already have drawings in there and a map and stuff. Like, so this, even if you're not great drawing, like drawings are in there already.
That's just neat.
But like, it gives that personal touch. So it's not just a blank. It's not like you're buying a blank book. You are buying one designed for that campaign.
Those are our Kickstarter picks for this week. They are in the description below. If you liked any of them, definitely click over there to check them out. Some really, really exciting ones, at least for us this week.
Oh yeah, we probably backed already at least half of them.
We're excited to throw our money at that screen. Hey, till next week, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this is Roll for Crit. Sing it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments below.
Oh yeah.